Wichita Life, ICT, and Landon Huslig is who we're going to be talking with today. So, hey, Landon, how's it going?
What's up, Ben? How's it going, man?
Good. So, basically, what we're starting to do with these is kind of highlighting what it's like to live in Wichita, people live here, and some of the things you do. So, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, who you are, what do you do, what's going on in your world today, and kind of go from there.
For sure. My name is Landon Huslig. I grew up in Andover. Lived in Wichita Wichita area for the last 20 years or so. I work at Koch Industries full time as a pipeline engineer, but I run Wichita Life, which is kind of a digital media platform. Got a pretty big Instagram presence, but then we send an email newsletter a few times a week, kind of informing people of what's going on around town. But yeah, we love Wichita and we love highlighting Wichita.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things I appreciate most about your publication. It's a lot of just promotion, telling people it's not biased one way or the other. It's good, it's bad. It's just here's what's going on. Here's all the cool stuff we're doing.
100%. And I try to keep it unbiased. I'll put my sarcasm in there, my jokes.
Yeah, of course.
I grew up in Andover, so there's the constant East versus West joke going on, but the West Side's obviously incredible as well.
Yeah.
And I stay away from politics. I'm not trying to piss one side or the other off.
Right.
I'm pretty neutral. Yeah.
You're pretty diplomatic about the East Side, West Side thing. Because I grew up on the West Side. I'm from the West Side. You're from the East Side. But hey, here's
Yep.
proof that we can get along and work together. So.
Oh yeah, it is funny though because we used to joke west of Rock Road was the West Side growing up. We just didn't really do anything. I'd go walk the river and stuff because it was fun to go down there. But yeah, we rarely went to the West Side unless I was going to my uncle's house. My cousins went to Maize, but yeah, that's
Right.
about it.
So it's when you say West Side, what do you mean by West Side? West of where? I gotta ask people that all the time when they're looking to move here. It's what do you mean by West Wichita? How far West Wichita? What's your West Wichita?
Nowadays it's I don't know, Maize Road, Tyler Road, that side ish of town. But yeah, growing up it was west of west of the river. That was all West Side. I wrote something up a while back because I was curious when it's you say the address and you probably know this as a real estate guy, but north or south or east or west, where is that intersection? I can't remember exactly where it's at, but it was it's West Street maybe that it starts over.
Mm-hmm.
West versus east, so that's technically west of West Street is west to me now. So
right. West of West Street, but
yeah, exactly.
West Siders are west of 235. That's West Wichita. But I guess there's a far West Wichita too. It's even way further out there, and I'm Goddard.
Yeah, exactly. You start getting into the suburbs, so
yeah. So it's funny how you have those little cultural things about Wichita that it's cool to highlight those kind of things. So with Wichita Life, you kind of touched on one of your recent articles. Why don't you talk about the origin of that, the intention of that, and the story of kind of that? Because that's been a cool journey to see you build that thing.
Absolutely. It started out, Wichita Life was born it was an Instagram account that's highlighting cool places like the Keeper of the Plains or River City Brewery or just cool stuff I liked around town. It slowly evolved into a podcast. I've been doing that for several years. And then the most recent thing is our email newsletter. I think I just started reading kind of the morning brews, the hustles, those type of bigger publications. I kind of got into the Twitter newsletter world and I saw you could do a well done local email newsletter that actually is really valuable. And so it's been fun to go from one day a week when I had a little bit more time and kind of a little more confidence in what I was doing. I went twice a week, and I send the local news and events portion about twice a week, and then I do a deep dive once a week, which is into what is West Wichita versus East Wichita? What is a local brew tour? What are the different things going on in town? And I kind of go deeper on a topic than I can typically, which is fun to do. I always learn something every week, and then I can share that with everyone else.
Yeah, and it's interesting how I do a lot of reloads coming to Wichita, and I'm building this stuff for people looking to move to Wichita. But honestly, it's a lot of people are from Wichita that need to know all this stuff too.
For sure, there's so much stuff. Yeah,
city. It's just not just in your face, other than what you're putting out there, which I appreciate about you putting all the not so known stuff and the new stuff on that. And honestly, it's impressive. You're able to put out 3 things a week consistently. So from a marketer, it's good job. Because I know hard.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, it's not easy. The deep dives or something. It's in my head, it's I can work ahead and have a backlog, but that never happens. It's 10 o'clock the night before whenever I'm writing those.
That's good to know, to hear the real, here's what it's really like. You think I got it planned out, but really it's oh crap, I got to get that done the day before.
Exactly. It's 8 p.m. I'm I should probably pick something to write about for tomorrow. So.
And you get all that out the night before. That's impressive because that's a lot of quality.
That's the goal. Yeah. I usually have it scheduled by, lately it hasn't been later than 11 p.m., but it's definitely been later. In the past, it's been later before. But yeah, that way I just schedule it for 6 a.m. on the next morning and call it good. Right. So.
Well, now, I mean, honestly, that's a testament to you about how much like you got to have passion and drive and like really commitment to really like commit to this thing to do it that consistently. Be like, okay, I'm going to do this at 11 o'clock at night. Most people just be like, nah, whatever. Like I missed it, didn't do it. So obviously that shows how much like you care. Like this is a real passion project. This isn't just like, oh, Landon's doing it to make a bunch of money. Like he's wanting
Absolutely.
to like actually share what's going on with
For
Wichita.
sure. Yeah. It's, I mean, it's definitely a side hustle now. I mean, my goal is definitely to at some point quit my engineering job to
Mm-hmm.
do this full time, but I have 3 kids. So obviously there's
Right.
some risk level that's changed. The tolerance has changed a little bit over time. But yeah, I mean, I was doing this for a long time when it was free, and I still do a ton of stuff for free. I love Wichita. We moved away for about a year.
Yeah.
Again, we grew up here, but we moved away for about a year for my work.
Okay.
Always with the idea of moving back, but we kind of
Yeah.
had the opportunity to move back early. So we came back early, and I think that alone opened our eyes again.
Yeah, that's actually a
Yeah.
good talking point you can touch on real quick. So where'd you move to and what was it like and what geared your like decision to move and then what made you come back? Because a lot of people boomerang like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, boomerang. Yeah, that's a great term that people have been using. So I went to work for Coke as a rotational engineer, and so I was
Mhm.
rotating roles within the company, but also rotating locations. And so in
Yeah.
2016, my wife and I moved down to Corpus Christi, Texas, for about 9 months, and then
Okay.
we were supposed to move to Pine Bend, Minnesota, or the
Yeah.
Twin Cities, Minnesota. But we had the opportunity to move back, and so both of our families are still here. We're high school sweethearts out in Andover, and so
Yeah.
we knew we wanted to be back in Wichita, but we didn't know when that would be if we didn't take
Sure.
that opportunity then. So we just went ahead and moved back. But I think one of
Yeah.
the things, well, a couple things that are underrated. One is the food scene in Wichita is very underrated. Like you drive down
100%.
SPID, the main highway in Corpus, and it's like every possible chain restaurant. Like they have some good local places, but it's like I think they were like in the top 10 like fattest cities in the U.S. or something at some point
Right.
recently. But the food scene's underrated. Just how kind people are in Wichita. Like the people
Yeah.
weren't mean by any means down there, but they're not as welcoming. Like you could go into a restaurant or a coffee shop and you're going to feel like you're talking to a friend,
Yeah.
whether that's somebody that works at a restaurant here or just
Right.
somebody you run into. Like people are just really kind here. I think it's just kind of that Midwest charm, but Wichita definitely has that.
Yeah. No, that is definitely something I've noticed from being in other cities and Wichita and coming back and forth that it's like Wichita people are very like not even necessarily just kind, but they're just very aware of other people
Yeah.
around them. They're very conscious
hmm
of like who's here, who's doing that, where they at, like am I
hmm
in your way? Like the whole like, oh sorry, like I'm in your way. Like
I was about to
like
say, yeah, but let me squeeze right
oh
by you.
like, oh sorry. Like we said, I was like, there's nothing to apologize for. Like you didn't do anything to me. We're very
Yep. Yep.
considerate like
Yep.
of other people are doing. So that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is like we're this little small town that's always in everyone else's business because we're bored.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's like you can't get away with much in Wichita. I feel like you know somebody that knows some it's not very many degrees of separation no matter which way you go.
No, it's like 2 or 3. It's not 6 degrees. It's like two or
No.
three. And that's
No,
usually
it's
the
a
most
yeah.
fun game to play is like, where'd you go to school? Who do you know? Where do you work? Like you can find some commonality in there. Like,
Oh yeah. And I always describe it as yeah, you mentioned like a small town, but it's like a big small town is kind of
yeah,
how I put it. Like we've got some of the amenities of the big towns. We got Top Golf now, we got Shields, the kind of
yeah,
the bigger stuff, but it's definitely a small town. Like, yeah, you know everybody. So
right. So if somebody that's looking to move here, like how would you explain or describe Wichita like to somebody? Like what is Landon's version of Wichita, like the elevator pitch for it?
yeah. I mean, I think a lot of the time people describe Wichita as kind of low cost of living. I think
Mhm.
we're kind of insulated from a lot of like the trends. Like a lot of the trends will hit kind of the East Coast first, whether that's, I don't know, the frozen yogurt or boba or like just like the
Right.
kind of the random things. Like it takes a little bit longer, 6 months to a year to get Wichita. And then we
Yeah.
start kind of getting a bunch of those. But it's just a friendly place. I think we've been kind of on the come up.
Yeah.
I don't, what year did you graduate high school?
I graduated in 2006. Yeah,
Okay.
I think.
I was 2011, but when I feel like kind of around the time when I was in college or graduated, like I came back and I don't know, the Wichita flag wasn't a thing. Like there's one
Right.
behind you right now. There's a
Yeah.
couple right behind me. It's like it wasn't really a thing before like the last 10 or 15 years. And I think there's like a renewed sense of pride
Yep.
in just our town in general and our city in general.
Yep.
But I think people care and like want to make it a cooler or better place. I think
Yeah.
before it was just like there, and even still, I think some of the stats show like so many people move away from Wichita.
Yep.
But there are so many good things about Wichita. I mean, growing opportunities. I mean, Koch Industries is the first or second largest private company in the world.
Right.
There's a lot of different opportunities blue collar, white collar, whatever you want to do, like you can do it in Wichita.
Right.
There's new places popping up all the time, whether that's restaurants or like the Commerce Club downtown is like a new
Yeah.
co-working spot. It's like there's so many cool spots that
Just
pop
went
up.
there last
And
night. That place is awesome.
yeah, it's amazing. It's so cool. And it's like
There's a
there's so
lot
many
of
things like that are popping up. Yeah, it's very cool.
So if you had to pick like one thing or certain things you want to highlight, what do you like most about Wichita? Like you kind of hit on a few things there, but what do you like most
Yeah.
about Wichita?
Number one, I'm gonna go the food. I think food in Wichita is very underrated. We have so many like different pockets of food, but like we have places that do barbecue very well. We have a ton of really good Mediterranean food, which I didn't eat growing up. I didn't know about it, but like I mean,
Right.
since I was kind of younger, like Maize has popped up and become like a kind of a household name in Wichita and is growing to other places.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much any type of food you want here. We have great Thai food. You can find it here in Wichita. There's like I think it's over on Seneca. There's like what country is it? Argentina, maybe? They have like pupusas. There's like 3 pupusa places on this one street. And it's like, I didn't even know about that till like 6 months ago. And I'm pretty tied into Wichita and they're incredible. And it's like, we have all these like subcultures within Wichita, whether that's food or I went to my first Wichita Wings game last year. And it's like, there's, I don't know, 3,000 incredibly passionate people about this indoor soccer team, which I think used to be a lot bigger in Wichita, but it's like, there's these little subcultures you don't know about unless you know about them. And it's like, I think we all just need to do better about kind of getting out of our bubble and exploring these different areas.
Right. Well, I feel like there's so much to like explore and adventure and experience. It's just not in your face, you know, other than like we're trying to get it out there to tell people about it, but you don't ever quite know. But that's also what kind of makes it fun, where it's almost like you got to go find it. Like you got to kind of search it. And like
100%,
that's what Wichita as a city is too. Like, because most people, when you travel around the nation, you're like, yeah, I'm from Wichita. They're like, where's that? Like, this, and it's like, yeah, it's actually a lot cooler than you think. You just don't know about it, but that's kind of what makes it cool too. That it's like not everybody knows.
Right. Well, and that's why you hear those stories about people that like come here for grad school at Wichita State, or they come here for whatever reason, and they end up staying because they love it. They love the people. They love the community that they build. And it's like, okay, yeah, you can say there's nothing to do in Wichita if you never leave your basement and you don't do anything. But it's like, that's the reason why you're making these videos. It's the reason that I published the Wichita Life Update. It's like, there's dozens of things to do every weekend, no matter what. Even if it's a slow weekend, there's still 12 different musicians playing around town. You could go listen to some live music and grab food. Like, there's always something to do.
Right. So here's one, and we'll see how unbiased you are. What do you not like about Wichita? What are some things you could see for improvement or aren't entirely your favorite, to be as objective as possible?
Sure. I mean, one of the biggest things that I wish would just like move or make a decision is like what we're going to do with the riverfront. So I know there's like on the west side, right by the stadium, like there's plans to develop that. That's just taking a little bit longer, but it's like they were moving on a decision to make Century 2 before COVID hit. And I don't care. Like if we have good plans for Century 2, I'm all for keeping it if you can come up with a good reason. But if we don't, let's tear it down and build like a gathering place-esque, like in Tulsa or something like that. That's like more green space. People can have a good reason to go downtown. I just wish we would do something like, I don't know who owns all this land. That's probably a deep dive I need to write. But it's like, why build 3 restaurants right along the river? I don't understand why that's not a thing yet.
So it sounds like it's pretty similar with one of my gripes, that it's also kind of our draw, is that like we're slow to make progress, or do stuff, like, which is good if you want an easy laid back lifestyle, but if you're trying to get anything done, move things forward, it's like we don't move fast around here. Like nothing goes fast.
It's pretty slow. It's kind of frustrating, and I get it. Like some of the stuff like has to be approved by the city council and stuff like that, and like they're great. I don't know who's even on this. I didn't need to go refresh because some of them just rolled over, but it's like I feel like a lot of the times, whether that's the city government or just people in general, we don't want to rock the boat because you don't want to have an opinion on Century 2 or
pleasing Midwest nice guy.
Exactly. And there's a lot of good to that.
Confront anybody, so we don't do anything, and then we piss even more people off. And you're
exactly.
Yes or no? Like, come on.
Exactly. Yeah, we can move so much faster. So that's probably my biggest gripe. We need to move a little faster, and then just like be more decisive. Like let's just make a decision, and if it's not the right decision, we'll figure it out. But let's just move forward with the decision.
Make one and go.
Yeah, exactly.
So how can we get in touch with you? How can we support you? How can we tap into more of your Wichita Life stuff? How can people watching this like see more of what you're about?
Yeah, absolutely. On all the social media platforms, it's either at Wichita Life or Wichita Life ICT. Our website is wichitalifeict.com, and you can sign up for our email newsletter and find all the links there. And then we also have a podcast, the Wichita Life Podcast, where I interview kind of locals and people doing cool stuff in town. So That's
Yeah, we
it.
need to get one of those going, like that one I sent you the other day. Like, there's a ton of fun, cool stuff we can put out about this town. But I appreciate your
100%.
time today, Landon. It's great talking with you. I'm sure we'll have more in the future. But reach out with Landon. Check out his Wichita life. Like, comment, subscribe on this channel. Really helps grow it. Check out some of my other videos around Wichita and what it's like. If I can help you out in any way, real estate wise, follow the links, get a hold of me. There's plenty of ways to do it. But we'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.